And we are live. Eagles get a dominating victory in Cincinnati to improve to 5-2. It's going to be a fun time. Chip and I are going to break it all down. No intro video here. We're just going to get to it. Quick little recap show. Listen, Chip, we've talked about this multiple times, whether it was this year, last year. The Eagles did what we have been asking. Listen, it was tough the first couple possessions, especially defensively, but this team did what they had to do, and they took care of business. And Jalen Hurts looked like 2022 Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that was a good game. I mean, I'm going to be honest, just the realist in me. I think the absence of T. Higgins completely changed the landscape of that game. But you can't control who your opponent decides to bring on to the field. So
listen,
I think the game plan originally was for the Eagles to play way off the ball. And you saw that in the first half. And sure enough, Joe Burrow did exactly what we know Joe Burrow was capable of, including Mike Gesicki, who we knew exactly what he was going to be capable of. But then the Eagles all of a sudden started flocking to the ball. They utilized the run game. They utilized both wide receivers. To me, it goes to show under center. To me, it also goes to show that Dallas Goedert, while a good tight end, is not a vital part of this offense, because you saw Grant Calcaterra step up. You saw Jack Stoll step up. I mean, Calcaterra had more catches than Goddard normally does. So for me,
I still think he's vital in what he can do with both receiving and blocking.
I agree. But what I'm saying is, you didn't, like when we had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown out, you missed them. If we had a game where we had Saquon Barkley, bigger one, the Saquon Barkley would be hurt, we would miss him. You know what I mean? This Eagles team was able to continue to put up 37 points without a key cog of the offense. With that being said, it was a very, very enjoyable game. A 20-point win where you win the turnover battle, where you don't turn the ball over at all, where both receivers almost get to 100 yards. I mean, that was just a good game.
It was a wonderful game to watch. Well, the first defensive possession was bad, but you take a look at the way that the defense then played and the way they were getting pressure. Now they only had one sack. I know Milton Williams and Nolan Smith split up a sack, each have half, but they played sound football, especially in the second half. They weren't the Bengals couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get any type of hole.
Nope.
The Eagles defensively.
And you knew that because their offensive line wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't. And again, that's what you have to do. You have to take advantage of the weaknesses of the opponent. And the Eagles are doing that. And I love to see it. And don't get me wrong, the defense of the Bengals, they're no slouch. When you're going up against, like we mentioned, you're going up against Hendrickson and Hubbard as your ends, and you have Fred Johnson, who I believe was one of the worst tackles with pressure.
Yeah, I think I heard that he was ranked 72nd out of something. And the big talk, because I was listening to the radio on the way in, and they were saying that, that's going to be the matchup to watch: Trey Hendrickson versus Fred Johnson. And are they going to send him help? Are they going to give? And on all honesty, Fred Johnson did a good job. Fred Johnson did not really struggle against a very good Trey Hendrickson.
No, and I think the big thing too, and another thing that I love to see, and I saw a stat, what they showed was the Eagles under center. And the Eagles under center this game, they almost doubled what they've done in recent games. And I love to see that because they can do so many different things out of that under center type of offense with Van Sumeren. I love seeing Van Sumeren in there as the fullback. I know we love our fullbacks, so that's always a welcome.
I love it.
But no, Saquon started out slow, but then started getting the legs going, getting it churning, and he was able to make yards. And that one last run was unbelievable. How he just took it to the defender and then tippy-toed all the way to the 1-yard line. But you take a look at Jalen Hurts and what he did in the pocket over the middle. They used the middle of the field. The Devontae catch, him sliding in the pocket, hitting Calcaterra. This was vintage 2022 Jalen. And it's been 3 straight games now, no turnovers, and he's looked really good. And listen, if this is a precursor to what we're going to see the rest of the season, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, though. One of the things that concerns me is the overutilization of Jalen Hurts in the run game, right? So we saw last year when we didn't have Saquon Barkley, when they had Jalen Hurts running the ball as much as they did, how by the end of the season he did tire out. And that was one of the many, many reasons why this team started to struggle. I think today, while it worked, you know what I mean? It did. The Eagles' running game worked today, utilizing both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I just do not personally feel that you need to constantly run him through the brotherly shove over and over. Like 1 or 2 of those carries at the goal line could have been Saquon Barkley. Just take one hit off. Just take one hit off of Jalen Hurts. I mean, the one, Trey Henderson literally grabbed him by his neck and brought him down. The touchdown was almost not a touchdown. The ball barely pushed and broke the goal line. So I just think that when you have a running back of the elite caliber of Saquon Barkley, you don't need to take unnecessary hits for your quarterback who, if he's not in that game, Kenny Pickett is not an equal upgrade.
Listen, he's the quarterback. He's going to touch the ball. He is your focal point of the way you run the offense. This isn't a drop back and throw. He uses his legs as a weapon to the offense. Just like you take a look and you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they use Lamar Jackson because his legs are as big as a big time weapon. You look at a Washington team, they use Jaden Daniels.
Yes, they do.
Are a weapon.
The thing about both of those teams that you just mentioned is they also utilize Derrick Henry for those tough yards. They also utilize Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler for those tough yards. You can use Jalen Hurts. I have no objection to utilizing Jalen Hurts in the run game. I just think that running him into the entire Bengals defensive line, 9 times today, is not necessary. You can cut down on that.
I think you're just making a big deal. Stop taking a little negative that you're going to find in a dominating.
I also Saquon Barkley on 2 fantasy teams. I'm just going to put that out there.
I could have told you that. Remember, you can't look at DeAndre Swift last year. Look at Miles Sanders a couple of years ago. Listen, it's just.
But neither of those guys are Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is going to get you a half yard.
Yeah.
He's going to get you 1 yard.
I'll
even be willing to wager he's going to get you 2 yards.
The way they run their offense. And I think the way that the offense is clicking right now, and you look at the way that they're running the game, the way they're passing the ball, the way that they're utilizing their skill players and what they are doing, I think it's starting to be, the Kellen Moore type of offense. I don't know if it's meshing with Jalen and everything along the lines of that.
And I love that JD's checking in and literally is that win dominant? Absolutely. The last 2 weeks have indeed been dominant.
It's funny because I texted you earlier.
Yes,
and I said it's funny. This game's going to be 34-17. And you said, who?
You did.
And I said, we'll find out after this Cincy drive. And Cincy wind up, I think they missed the field goal, I believe. And was it the 50-something yarder field, or was it before when they went? It was something where they didn't score. And then the Eagles then went down, and all of a sudden they scored, and then they got the turnover, which, listen, let's bring that up. The Eagles got 2. Finally, +2. And it was great because Darius Slay goes out with a groin injury. He's out for the rest of the game. You have Isaiah Rodgers in there going up against Jamar Chase. Toe-to-toe with him. They throw that deep ball. He tips it right to CJ GJ, gets the interception, was a huge momentum turner in there.
Yes.
And then the Eagles go down and they score, I believe. And then I think they hit the field goal or whatever it was. I forget.
Whatever it was. And then Zach Bond with the punch out.
And Nakobe Dean right there gets the ball. And it's like, finally, the ball bounces right into someone's chest because we've seen it this season where the ball bounces and it goes right to the opposing team. They get the ball back. It doesn't bounce the Eagles' way. And luckily, it bounced the Eagles' way. And it's crazy because you look at this defense, the way that they started the game, a 17-play, 70-yard drive, 10 minutes were chewed up.
Yep.
I was like, this is going to be a game. It's going to be the death by 1,000 paper cuts. They're going to be able to just dink and dunk their way down the field and then be able to use their playmakers when it matters and be able to score. I said they're going to have to figure something out. And the Eagles did, because when you take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals, that total offense for the Bengals, they had 280 total yards.
Okay.
222 passing, 58 rushing. Eagles had 397. Now, the third down efficiency was not very good for the Philadelphia Eagles defense, 10 of 13. But again, when you have turnovers, some of that stuff doesn't fully matter because you can do that, but then you have a player like a Cooper DeJean who makes a huge fourth down stop on an open field tackle.
By the way, what a terrible play call. What a terrible play call for the Bengals.
I think that was when the Eagles were up 24-17, and they go for it on their side of the field. Now the Eagles would only kick a field goal then because they wouldn't move the ball that much.
It didn't matter. That was the ending of the game right there.
Yeah, it was a huge time momentum turner on that.
And that's
and JD goes, this D it can click at the right time, and that's the thing. The one thing that I believe that they were talking about on the broadcast was that the Eagles are believing in the scheme and they're getting more comfortable, the communications and all, and that is the biggest thing because we didn't see any of that last year.
No,
especially at the end of the year, everybody was like they were doing kind of their own thing. It was like everybody's gone rogue, and that's not the case now. They're on their assignments. They're playing within themselves. And it's huge when you look at the secondary after Slay goes out. You have Isaiah Rodgers, who hasn't played a lot of football in the last year because he was suspended last year. And then you have two rookies in Cooper DeJean, and you have, Quinyon Mitchell. And I don't know. Maybe
let's talk about these young players real quick. Like Nakobe Dean had a really good game.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean had a really good game.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell had a really good game. Now,
Zach Bond had a good game.
Zach Bond had a good game. I'm just talking about the young guys. Right?
Okay.
And again, I'm trying to temper expectations because, again, if you look at this game, the Eagles finally beat a really quality quarterback. They dominated a really quality quarterback. Right, they gave up 10 points in the first half, gave up a lot of passing yards, made an adjustment, 7 points the rest of the way, plus 2 turnovers. I do think that if T. Higgins plays, it is a noticeable difference. But again, you beat who's in front of you with what they give you.
Yeah. Listen, you can't say, because if they had this player, it would be a lot better if they did this. The thing about it is, you play with who you have. Everyone's going to be banged
up.
Exactly. Eagles are missing their starting left tackle, their starting tight end. I know
Lane almost lost our starting right tackle. I got very worried for a second.
Becton's out. You're starting right guard. So you're missing key pieces too. You scored 37 points and almost have 400 yards of total offense on a team that has been rising. Like the Bengals defensively have gotten healthy. On their defensive line, their interior defensive line, they've gotten healthy. BJ Hill's there, Sheldon Rankins. They have Chris Jenkins Jr. So they've gotten healthy, and they've played really, really well. So, I just think you have to put some positives in there because they've played some tremendous football the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like we said, you can only play who's in front of you. I looked at this game on Wednesday when we previewed it, and I thought it was going to be problematic because I did not know if our defense was going to be able to stop 2 elite wide receivers. And again, looking at the way they started the first half, where Burrow had nothing but time, nobody really pressuring him. I mean, he was picking us apart. And then the Eagles did this crazy thing, which you did not see at all last year. They made an adjustment at halftime.
Yeah. They did it a couple times early in the year. It works. But listen, it's when you take a look at their defensive scheme, like they didn't. Unfortunately, Burrow got out of a couple of the pressures that they had.
Sure.
He escaped some and made some tremendous plays, which were very frustrating to watch because the
The
Eagles have him
touchdown
bottled up.
pass by Burrow. The touchdown pass by Burrow was very impressive.
Yeah, and the one thing that you saw too was they were running a lot of motion, which they haven't really been doing this year. So they threw a huge different wrinkle into the Eagles' defensive game plan that they haven't seen on film. So that's just one major thing that the Eagles were able to go into halftime, figure it out, change it up, and be able to switch that, flick that switch, and be able to turn the defense to a whole another level to make because the offense was absolutely, they were going at it. They were scoring touchdown. So when that can happen, hey, it's going to be great.
Anytime your offense puts up 37 points, you got to feel good.
Yeah. Listen, they had 28 points last week, and they stopped having their starters in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left. So they could have put more points on the board there. But listen, defensively, this team is just rising. Like beginning of the game, they were top 10 in defense, total defense. So, and with 280 something yards, I'm sure they're going to rise a little bit more. Even with the points per game and all that stuff, they're rising every game. They're getting better and better. And I just think that, you have the way the schedule is laying out. And we mentioned that the way this schedule, starting with the Browns game, had the opportunity for the Eagles to be able to set themselves up.
By the way, I was there. Listen, Deshaun Watson was holding that Browns team back.
Yeah. And
that was a crazy game to watch. Jameis Winston came in and that team played for him. He's still a clown. He's still a goof, but that team played for him. That should be the last time that you see Deshaun Watson in a uniform for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And Jamar and JD checking in. JD, that's one of our topics tomorrow. So I'm going to put a pin on that. This is the Eagles postgame show, but we're talking about Deshaun Watson tomorrow.
So, the last thing I want to bring up, I do want to bring up our, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bring up our Ulecka locks because I'll wait for that Wednesday when we go over the Ulecka locks. I won't bring them up.
I know I was wrong, but I wasn't wrong by much.
Yeah, well, I was wrong too. So, we're not going to bring them up. But I do want to bring up, you did mention on the preview show on Inside Swoop this past Wednesday that you wanted to be wrong.
Yes, I did.
And by golly, you were wrong, and that's great.
By golly, I was wrong.
But listen, I think this puts a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Eagles only played the Browns and the Giants. So they're playing 100%. Bad teams." That's why the Eagles
hadn't listen, and that's the point. The Eagles had not beaten an elite quarterback yet. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback.
Yeah,
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are elite wide receivers. We had not beaten them yet. Look at the wins we had. I mean, it's not like we were lighting the world on fire. This was a good win. This was a dominant win. This is a win where you got to sit back and enjoy. This was a win when you put all the subs in.
And they did put subs in, and unfortunately, I kind of hate at the end there. Will Shipley got a nice run up the middle.
Oh, my God, that was awful.
The holding penalty, so he missed out on his first touchdown.
Dude, he's fast. Will Shipley is fast.
Yeah, well, JD can tell you all about him. He watched him at Clemson. So Shipley is a sneaky fast type of guy. He can shoot through the holes. He can catch. He's a very good receiver out of the backfield. He can do a lot of things. And I'm really listen, I'm just happy that we're going to be seeing probably more of him starting next season when he gets a lot more opportunities when he's probably running back too. But no, I just think collectively as a group, this team is gelling, and they're gelling at the right moment. And mind you, the Eagles are 3-0 since Nick Sirianni buzzed his head. Sorry, I had to bring that up too.
I guess I'm next, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe buzz the beard part instead of the.
Well, the beard's got to come down a little bit this week because I do no shave November, and if I go into it like this, I'm going to end up looking like James Harden by December 1st.
Well, you probably play just as good as James Harden does, right?
I do.
He's jacking up stupid shots, but no, this was a fun game. and I'm going to leave it here, is taking a look at the future schedules. When you take a look at the Eagles lining up, they have a great opportunity here to be able to start hitting some teams who potentially may be struggling or a little bit in a rut, and to be able to take advantage of that. And I think they've done that in this little stretch here. And I think it's time that they keep doing that. And, we'll go over it Wednesday night. We're going to talk about the Jaguars game. It's going to be, Dougie P is going to be back in Philadelphia again, but it's going to be a tough matchup, believe me. But,
I think so, but I don't know if it's going to be as tough of a matchup as you think. I think that they flexed it out of the 8:00 game for a reason, because nobody actually cares that Doug Peterson is coming back to Philadelphia.
He was already back once, so it's not really a story.
Yeah, this is not. They did the right thing flexing that game out.
Yeah.
Now,
but
with that being said, I do think that. Yeah.
I'll tell you this.
No, you cannot take any team lightly in the NFL.
Take a look. The Browns beat the Ravens. You can't take them lightly. The Jaguars did lose on a game-winning field goal by the Packers. Now, I know Jordan Love went out with a groin injury and everything along the lines of that, but still, the Packers, they were neck and neck with the Jaguars. So you had that as well. So listen, anything can happen in the NFL. So, but we'll break it all down Wednesday. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, joining us here. But, with that, as we always do it, we always end it with Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.